that I wanted to say. And I'm interested to know what y'all have to say. Alright, so before I say what I'm gonna say, I wanted to read something to you guys. Alright, and it's called There Are Plenty of People Who. Alright? There are plenty of people who hate their job to all hell and will quit today and find the job of their dreams and not even miss a paycheck. Alright? There is plenty of people that will do that. There's also plenty of people who want to start a business and have access to no money at all today and will be in business tomorrow and will also earn $1,000 on their first day of having a business. There's plenty of people that's going to do that. All right? Here's another one. There's plenty of people who are married today and will be divorced tomorrow. All right? Just like there are plenty of people that are not married today and will be married tomorrow. There's plenty of people, right? Here's a good one. There's plenty of people who are happily married, have more kids than you, spend more family time than you, works 12 to 15 hours a day, and still manages to get 30 to 60 minutes of exercise every day. There's plenty of people. All right? There are also plenty of families that are inseparable today, and tomorrow they will be divided. There's plenty of families that this is going to happen to, right? And we can't stop it. This is not Minority Report. So it brings the question, what majorities are you in? Right? I know we speak a lot about what minorities we're in, but like let's just think for a second. What majorities are we in? And because to me it's like this. You're either thinking like everybody else or you're thinking like everybody else. So like where are we at here? And I was inspired to come on here and say this because mainly two things, right? Mainly two things. And in my opinion, I don't know about you guys can let me know, but in my opinion, there are plenty of people that are making excuses. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of people that are settling. Like, and I think that this is like, I know, and I'm going to say this like I said on the other Facebook Live video, like, this is only for the professionals. And the cool thing about doing the Facebook Live yesterday, and I was kind of nervous about doing it, but what I realized is that I have a core group of friends that are actually interested in hearing, like having a meaningful conversation. I love the fact that everybody was commenting. I love the fact that everybody was interacting. I love the way that people were contacting me, like saying, oh, yo, that was kind of dope. Right? So, again, and if you hopped into this conversation and you're not like somebody that's really serious about life, that's cool. But a lot of what I'm going to be talking about in this is for individuals that's looking to go to the next level. Right? So I always like to say that because I don't want to come across like too brash. Like I try to compartmentalize, the conversations that I have, because I don't want people to come on and they start hearing stuff that they don't want to hear about. Right? What's worse than being talked about? Not being talked about at all. I like that. Worst thing, not being able to be talked at all. But here's the question, Tracy, right? See, somebody's going to see that. They're going to say, well, I like that. What's worse than being talked about? Not being talked about at all, right? I also heard Kanye West say that in one of his new songs, right? But here's the punchline to that. We don't want to be talked about for a person that's always making excuses, right? Like, even if they still talking, like, okay, they talking about it, yo, but you don't want to be that person that's known for always making excuses, right? You don't want to be always being talked about if you the one that's just always talking about what you gonna be doing, right? And I just wanted to say that because some of the core friends that I have, Tracy, they take things very literal. Like, they will take what you said and they will mirror that and apply that to every aspect of their life. And they'll be the person that goes in their life, right? And they'll just, people be talking about them, but for not things that they should be really wanting to be talked about, right? So, like I said before, you either thinking like everybody else or you thinking like everybody else. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's something that we really should start paying attention to. Because just with the few conversations that I have today, you know, with my part-time business, it was like, at what point do we say, you know what? These excuses aren't working out to my benefit. Right? And the interesting thing about this whole conversation is that if we would just, how can I say this? If we would take the time out to realize, and listen, I make excuses from time to time. I'm not holier than thou. You know what I'm saying? But here's what I know. When I make excuses, I know that I'm making excuses. And I also know that when I make excuses, that makes me like everybody else. Right? So that's why I make it my business to try not making as many excuses as I used to make. Right? And that's just the conversation that I want us to realize. Because sometimes I know for me personally, when I was making excuses and I didn't care about making excuses and care about my own character and how I'm holding up myself to other people, it was just like, oh, okay, I'm just making excuses. Everybody makes excuses, right? And that goes back to everybody, like everybody else. You thinking like everybody else, or you thinking like everybody else, right? So again, I want to make sure that we understand, like, yo, if you making excuses or if you're settling for a life that you know you deserve better than, right? If you're that person, it's worth your time to really think about your behaviors, right? Your daily pattern, the daily things that you're doing. Like, are you doing things like everybody else, or are you doing it like everybody else? Like, how are you, what's your daily routine like? Like, are you settling right now? Like, are you overworked and underpaid right now, and you hate your job right now? And you're making, what, $15 an hour? Is that you settling? Well, this is what I'm trying to say, right? As long as you know that you're like everybody else, that there's plenty of people doing exactly what you're doing, as long as you know that and you're okay with that, you get 2 thumbs up from me. On the other hand, if you're not okay with that, right? If you're not okay being like everybody else, making excuses and settling for a life you know you deserve better than, well, guess what? There's plenty of people that are in that same boat. But when I tell you, when you put your mind to something, listen, it is a process. You see what I'm saying? It is a process. We all have our ups, downs, in-betweens. You see what I'm saying? But we have to make sure that in any moment that we realize, we take a quick second to think and say, all right, this type of behavior that I'm doing right now, what type of people do exactly what I'm doing right now? What type of people? Is it like the majority, like everybody else, or is it like the small percentage of people? Right? The small percentage of people, I'm telling you, in any category, any area of life, they're not the ones that's making excuses. They're not the ones settling for average results. And if that's you, that's fine. But just know that that's what everybody, it's like a fraternity, kind of, a sorority. Right? It's the people that what? The people that they don't want to be the majority in certain areas of their life. right? They don't want to be a majority. Like, majority of people make excuses, right? Majority of people make excuses. That's a majority of the people. This ain't, I'm not dropping new knowledge on y'all. Listen, most people make excuses, and even you'll be surprised, it's an alarming rate of the amount of people that make excuses, and they're not even aware that they make excuses. They just think it's reasons, right? And there's a whole science behind reasons and excuses. You see what I'm saying? But like I said before, and I'm going to read this again, and then I'm going to get up out of here. Listen to what I was talking about earlier. And these is all facts, right? This is all facts. There's plenty of people who hate their job to all hell and will quit today and find the job or create the job of their dreams, and they won't even miss a paycheck. There's plenty of people that will do that. Plenty of people. More than enough for you to, you see what I'm saying? There's more than enough for us to have an example that, hey, if that's what we going through, maybe we need to make some adjustments. Maybe we need to make some decisions today, right? Maybe. And then I went on to say, I said, listen, there's plenty of people who want to start a business. They have access to no money at all today, and they'll be in business tomorrow and will earn $1,000 on their first day of having a business. Plenty of people. Plenty of people that will do that. Plenty of people. In the next 24 hours, plenty of people will do that. Once again, I'm not saying this to hype you up, right? I'm saying this to give you some hope, like, yo, let's think about this thing, all right? And then I went on to say, right, there's plenty of people who are married today and will be divorced tomorrow. Just like I said that there's also plenty of people that are not married today and will be married tomorrow. Plenty of people. There's plenty of people that are happily married, right? They have more kids than you, right? They spend more family time than you, right? They work 12 to 15 hours a day, and they still manage to get 30 to 60 minutes of exercise every day. Plenty of people. You will not be the first. There's plenty of people, there's plenty of families that are inseparable today. Inseparable today. And tomorrow, they will be divided. They'll be a divided family. And we could do the same thing vice versa. There's some families that are divided today. You see what I'm saying? There's families that are divided as we speak right now. And tomorrow, this time tomorrow, they will be an inseparable family. Plenty of people, plenty of families will do that in the next 24 hours. What else did I say? I asked a question. I said, what majorities are you in? Do we ever think about it? What majorities are we in? And I was like, yo, when is making excuses, is that the majority? Yes. People who make excuses are the majority. A majority of the world population make excuses. And there's a whole nother percentage that I don't know of that are making excuses and not realizing they're making excuses. We also talked about settling, didn't we? We talked about settling, right? Are you settling? All areas of your life. I'm just giving you something to think about. That's it. Something to think about. Are you settling? What areas of your life are you settling in? Then I said, you're either thinking like everybody else or you thinking like everybody else. Majority, minority. I think that's worth taking some time out to think about. This is for you. I know I do it. I do it for me. I don't do it for y'all. I do it for me. I like to think of these things. Like, how am I thinking right now? In fact, I did a YouTube video a few months back, maybe even last year. I did a video on YouTube, which you could check out, youtube.com/Billionaire Brown online, where I was talking about, we know who you look like, we know who you sound like, but when was the last time you thought about who you think like? Right? That's pretty cool, right? You ever read, like, this is a little side note, but you ever read like a quote, or maybe you hear a speech President Obama did or something like that, and you can relate to that message? You ever had that happen? Well, if so, you got to take that as a little winning, right? You're thinking like somebody who thinks well, right? So I just wanted to say that because I really believe that that's something. Those are little. This is one of those little things that we really owe it to ourselves to actually start thinking who we think like, right? Even those little things. I mean, it could be the way you iron your clothes, right? It could be the way that you cook your food, right? Because everything starts with thought. You know what I mean? And for anybody who has like, you know, I know some of my friends have like family secret recipes, you know, that's been passed down from generation to generation. You know what I mean? Listen, if you got a recipe that's a secret recipe that's going on for generation after generation after generation, you know what? That's somebody I would like to think like. I mean, most things most things, come on, there's plenty of people that have gone and that will gone, including myself, that it's not guaranteed we pass things on generation to generation to generation. Right? Even mismanaged money won't go generation to generation to generation. You see what I'm saying? So somebody like that, look, you got a secret family recipe that's been going for generations. You know, that's you. Who made that? Who started that? Who started that? Who started that secret recipe? Oh, they start doing research on that person. They may just not have had the business sense. They may just not have had whatever. Maybe they just did it out of love. You need to know that. That's somebody that you want to think like. They don't got to be on TV for us to say, oh, I like thinking like this person. But there's so much talk like, oh, I look like this person. Oh, you sound like this person. Yo, listen, who you think like? Like, seriously, who you think like? I like to think like that. Like, I'm interested to know who thinks like me. Like, right now, like, who really thinks about this? Like, I never hear people talk about, yo, you think like such and such. Nah, you see, I do it to people all the time. I do it to people all the time. Like, yo, you look like such and such. I mean, I'm sure I could do it listen, because people who make excuses, guess what? They all think alike. Even when I make my excuses, I've minimized it a lot over the years. Y'all seen me grow through it. I used to make excuses all the time. Now I don't, right? But listen to what I'm telling you. When you make excuses, you're putting yourself in a category of most people, plenty of people. And I don't think that's a category you should. Listen, if you get in to that category, you need to quickly get out of it as quickly as possible. Whether if it's saying an apology or making an announcement or, you know, writing a letter or a note, listen, yo, just get it out of your system as quickly as possible, right? Because you don't want to be in that category too long because making excuses and also settling, that becomes a habit, right? It becomes a habit and you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And eventually you realize, you know what I'm saying, that it's just a way of life for you. I said I was going to get out of here before, but that thought took me somewhere else. So, I'll say, I was going to say this frog story. Let me see some of y'all's comments. Love this, real talk. Okay, now exit stage left. Either we build our dreams or somebody will hire us to build them. All right, Tracy. All right, Swain. All right, Cherie. All right, Tracy. Let's see. More unity. I like that. Love this. Zykira. That's right. We find time for what's most important. That's the key. Hey, what's up, Michelle? Hey there.